Hi folks. In this video, I'm going to cover some main points of the article Strong Separatism in Professional Ethics by John Christian Smith. Now, this is a pretty difficult article, especially the back and forth criticism of certain philosophers around the middle part of the essay. However, I would like to make sure that some of the important points are brought out and understood. It can often be advantageous to read the final paragraph or section of an article first to get an idea of where an author is going. So, for instance, on page 133 of the present article, Smith explains that he explains what he thinks he has done in the article. He says that we now have an effective criterion for picking out the norms that provide functional justifications for professional conduct. So in other words, Smith believes that in the body of the paper, he has provided a way to define professional norms of conduct in terms of their functional role. This term functional role is an important one. The word function means roughly purpose. So to justify conduct in terms of a functional role essentially means that one's conduct as a professional depends on the specific purpose the profession serves in the society. So as an example, let's say that we are trying to figure out what my functional role is as a professor of philosophy. My functional role consists of those activities that I perform in virtue of my functional role consists of those activities that I perform in virtue of those specific activities that are essential to the existence of the profession. For instance, writing articles and books, teaching college students, and doing various kinds of service. Conduct that is justified in terms of the functional role is conduct essential to carrying out those functions. Now we know where Smith is going in the paper. He wants to define professional norms of conduct in terms of their functional role. So let's go back to the beginning of the paper. In the first paragraph, he says that the purpose of the paper is to show the differences between professional norms and common norms. The paper is importantly related to others that we've read, especially the Wasserstrom paper. It would probably be fair to say that one of the biggest debates in professional ethics is around the question asking whether the professions are different from other kinds of occupations. And if they are different, in what way are they different? And what justifies this difference? So early in the paper, Smith explains that the special arrangement that professions have with society is embodied in two conditions: the consumer condition and the reciprocal condition. In short, a profession must deliver some specific service that is highly valued by the society, and in exchange for this, there will be conditions of conduct whereby professionals will be able to act in certain ways different from everyone else. So the specific service bullet point here refers to the consumer condition, and the professionals able to act in certain ways refers to the reciprocal condition. On page 119, Smith defines a profession. They are characterized by four dimensions: special expertise, significant service, critical function, and the exemption criterion. I think it is important to understand each of these criteria as they form the foundation of Smith's main target, which is to understand what activities receive special social consideration in moral judgments and are theoretically well justified in their claim to that consideration. See the middle of page 20 for this reference. On page 121, starting in the section entitled The Separatist Thesis, Smith lays out some possibilities for justification of professional conduct. This section and the two sections following it are confusing and complicated. However, I think parts of them are important, so I will try to bring out what those important parts are. An important distinction is that between separatism and unificationism. I think the main distinction is interesting and important. Separatism is the view that professional norms are not derivable from universal norms. Simply put, professional conduct is its own animal, and you can't hold professionals morally responsible for some of their actions in the same way as you would hold a common person responsible for their actions. Again, this is according to separatism. Another way to say it is that you can't justify rules for professional behavior with the same ethical rules as you would justify everyday rules for social behavior. Now, Smith may seem at first like he is against separatism, but what he is against is what he calls radical separatism or professional relativism. What these terms, what professional relativism is, or radical separatism, is a logical independence of professional norms from universal norms. Similarly, he is also against complete unificationism, but not against a weaker form of it. A unificationist is someone who thinks there is no difference between universal norms and professional norms. In other words, professional norms of conduct are just special cases of the common morality. Where the rubber hits the road is when Smith discusses functional road justification, especially starting in the middle of page 125. He wants us to see how professional norms can be justified in a way that is consistent with both a kind of unificationism and a kind of separatism. He drops in references to what he ultimately calls functional role justification throughout the paper. So your understanding of this concept will be enhanced in proportion to how much of the paper you understand, and especially this very important concept, functional role justification. I believe that covers the basic ideas in the paper. I'm going to say that you can skip the section where the debate stands on page 127 through almost the end of page 130. But overall, I think this is a very interesting paper that should make one think about what a profession is, what is involved in defining a profession, what is the professional's role, and in what way, if any, are the ethical rules of a profession like the ethical rules accepted in the society at large. I hope this video has helped you understand this challenging paper. As always, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your time and attention.